How are you today, all you villainous heroes out there? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din coming at you with another chapter review of My Hero Academia. This time it's chapter 226, titled Bloody Love, where various people on a news report are talking about the one and only Himiki Toga as her very first rampage truly began, about the boy who she ended up severely injuring. They talk about the usual stuff whenever you have stories about serial killers or murderers or people who go from just being normal, as society would talk about it, to just a psychopath almost. Talking about the fact that the boy Sato that she injured, was fairly popular, that Toga was always very friendly and kind and always smiled for people. But then one of the witnesses who saw what she was doing says that she stuck a straw into Sato's open wound and began to drink his blood. And that they said that the look on her face was so repulsive because it looked as if she was in ecstasy. And then we have a comment from her parents talking about how they were failures and that their child was the devil, which, I get it. Ultimately, you have to kind of denounce the actions of your child, but to just turn against them like that, and to not try to get them proper help. But then again, I think, something like therapy is so often looked down upon because you don't want to admit that there's a problem. You want to seem normal. And especially in terms of Japan, that can be a very detrimental thing. Japan would rather has a tendency to want to sweep problems under the rug rather than seriously confront it in certain situations. At least from various news reports that I've heard in terms of, bullying, work environments, things of that nature. And we cut back to, I'm just gonna call her Miss Curious from now on because that's basically her villain name. But, she comments on Toga's, comment about living normally, which she finds very interesting, and then Toga's very sadistic looking face. And she says that Toga is the very embodiment of this superhuman society that they're in. And as Toga ends up falling to the ground because of her injuries from drinking the, booby-trapped blood, which is not a comment I ever thought I'd hear myself say, Miss Curious goes over to Toga, kind of taking pity on her, but it's mostly for her story. The fact that Toga had to basically suppress her own superpowers, more or less killing off a inner part of herself, which is considered quirk counseling in the superhuman community or the quirk community or whatever. That there's programs that re-educate people in order to correct themselves, in order to just be suitable for society, even though her ability is an innate part of her DNA. She transforms by drinking blood. So, Miss Curious is just like, well, you've always had this strong affinity for blood, haven't you? You've always had this deep-rooted love, and you've always, sucked blood because, that was the way that your quirk manifested, in the way that you enjoyed certain things. However, this was ultimately what caused you to be looked down upon by various people, even your parents. And so you had to, create this mask of what society continued normal in order to be able to fit in, because ultimately that's human nature. You feel shame and you want to adjust yourself in order to fit into the herd. It's that herd mentality from, like, well, at least this is from what I've heard other people say. You have this herd mentality where it's more or less a way of protection, because in olden days, if you weren't part of the group, if you weren't part of the pack, a part of the herd, you would die. being by yourself meant, death, basically. And Toga lashes out on Miss Curious, not wanting to hear what Miss Curious interprets as her path. But as Toga goes in to stab Miss Curious brings out this gauntlet, manufactured by Tetenerat. This glove kind of looks like the full gauntlet from the My Hero Academia movie. Well, at least the way it's built into Miss Curious's bracelet, and it allows her to just touch something and just detonate it right there and then. So she's got this explosive punch, basically. And she gets Toga right in the eye, and Toga's damn near unconscious at this point. But, Miss Curious is basically using Toga's story to warp it to the needs of the Superpower Liberation Army, saying that their two views aren't so different, and that they'll use Toga as basically a sacrificial lamb for their cause, to show that the suppression of superpowers, of quirks, and the normal nature of various people, it goes against how they should be, goes against how they should function. And they'll immortalize her as a sacrifice for their plans. But she wants to hear it directly from Toga's mouth that she is correct in her assumptions. She wants affirmation to what she believes. Toga, however, manages to wake up for the most part and tries her best to escape, bringing out vials of blood in order to consume them, and change her appearance. Meanwhile, Toga this entire time is, starting to lose much of her interest in Miss Curious, because she doesn't feel that deep down she is unfortunate. She's not some, sympathetic creature. She smiles when she's happy. Just like how she kisses people, like she doesn't have this love of blood, she has this love of people, and it's through their blood that she expresses this love. Saying that she was never never really unhappy, even going through life, it was never really a mask, and she was never truly unhappy. It's just that once she got to a certain point of happiness, she truly felt like expressing it. It wasn't that she her injured Sato. I don't know if she killed him or not, but she didn't injure Sato because of this love of blood, or because she finally let down this mask. More or less, it's that she, felt this strong emotion that she wanted to fully act upon for the most part. And so she transforms into Uraraka Ochako, and Miss Curious, for the most part, is just kind of, loving every second of this moment, this frantic escape that Toga is trying to do. But, ultimately she's just like, just because we already know all about you, you can change your appearance, but that doesn't mean much of anything. If anything, it just means that you have this emotion of, oh, I just want to look cute before I die. And Toga ends up thinking back to, her encounter with Deku during the licensing exam. Saying that, thinking about Ochako and how lucky she was, and how she got to be close to someone that she loved. How she very much wanted to be like Uraraka in that moment, in that instance of that feeling of being in love with someone else. She admired that, and how lucky she felt that Uraraka was. However, this thought comes to a close as Miss Curious comes in close to basically deliver the final blow. And once she slams down on, Toga, blowing her up, Toga manages to survive this, but suddenly Miss Curious starts to float, showing that somehow, Toga was able to adapt to the next level of her powers. With all the running that she did from Police and Heroes, she became sensitive to various people. She understood how to adapt to certain people's rationalities, their emotions. She got better at observing specific things on how people were able to do this. And as she's thinking of this, she's going in between all the various members of, Miss Curious's group and causes them all to levitate. And we basically get to see a bit of Toga's of the danger that Uraraka's quirk can truly come in with, in a way that nobody would ever truly think of. And Miss Curious is taken off guard because she's just like, no, we heard you can only duplicate people's appearances. Is it because of your fear of death that your power has managed to evolve? And Toga, having seen how Uraraka deactivates her floating, waits until they're high enough in the air, and she tells Miss Curious, that ultimately, no, that's not it. She just simply wants to live, fall in love, and die like a normal person. And she simply wants to love even more. It's not that she has this overwhelming fear of death or this overwhelming wants and desires. It's just that she wants love. That's it. She just simply wants to love and be loved in return and die a normal death, which is very fascinating. It's a very broken perception. And Miss Curious thinks so too, right into the moment where her very curious mind hits the pavement. And I gotta tell you, I felt really bad because I was actually kind of liking Miss Curious for the most part. She had this very interesting way of thinking of the world around her, and her perception, her obsession, and the way she thinks is very similar to Toga in and of that, because their obsessive natures are just so similar to a certain extent that I kind of was thinking that there would be more of an interaction between the two. But ultimately, it was always going to end like this. They're all going around killing people and taking down the big heads of, the Liberation Army was always going to be the case. They are just basically, as Tomura would put it, EXP fodder to grow the levels of the League of Villains. And as Toga manages to escape after, killing Miss Curious, I have to assume, the way that Miss Curious and the rest of her group hit the pavement, it looks like they did. They were several stories up. But, she's, laments the fact that she's all beaten up, but she likes the fact that she looks so much like a Zuko when he's in battle. And she laments the fact that she knows that Tomura Shigaraki's plan is to have Gigantamachi come in and kill all of them. But, if she has to kill a few people along the way, why not? Ultimately, that's Tomura's way. Destroy everything you don't like. So, that's the first little hint that over the course of this entire battle, we will see various members of the League of Villain, fully embrace Tomura's idea of just destruction of all things you don't care for, all the things that you don't like. Just destroy them, be done with them, end them right there and then. And man, that was just a very fascinating insight into Himiki Toga's backstory, her mindset, and various things like that. I don't feel like I fully grasp all of it, but I feel like I have a better understanding of her mindset and how she functions, how she thinks. I want to know more. I want to just keep diving into this. You could say I'm just as curious as Miss Curious, and as you saw, curiosity killed the curious cat. Just very fascinating stuff. Not to mention, I kind of liked her power. It was a very toned down version of Bakugo's ability, so I have to wonder if maybe they were related on some level. Although, the two quirks that ended up combining into making Deku's abilities, his mom's ability is glycerin, and where it keeps her skin nice and silky smooth. She will remain beautiful forever. Man, Bakugo's mom is super hot. Like, she's old enough, unlike most of these characters, so it's just like Bakugo's mom hot AF. Miss Curious was actually kind of cute too until she had that pavement makeover. But a very fun chapter. I hope we continue along these lines into further, chapters down the line where we get more developments for various members of the League of Villains, because it would be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how Mr. Compress will end up growing and adapting. Maybe we'll finally get some backstory on Dabi if he actually has a challenging fight, because honestly, Dabi has yet to really meet a serious challenge. Maybe twice we'll start to, move past some of his inner demons. I don't know how Mr. Compress could possibly advance in his abilities. That'd be interesting. Or even Tomura Shigaraki, because it seems like his disintegration ability seems to be a lot more adept than it used to, where it would slowly disintegrate things before, at least in terms of how it looked when he touched Aizawa. But, then there's Spinner, who's just a lizard person. I don't know if he has some kind of secondary quirk that we don't know about, but, and if he breathes fire, that will be so metal. That will be so metal. It's just like, yeah, my quirk is I'm a dragon. Although, then we actually have that one, pro hero that I think it was Froppy and Uraraka were under during the whole situation with Overhaul, who had the ability to turn into a massive dragon. So maybe he's maybe a Komodo dragon, and has this acidic saliva or paralyzing bite or something like that. So I'm very fascinated with this. Definitely a great step up from last series, because I know apparently some people were pretty down on the whole Class A versus Class B situation, but I enjoyed that, just seeing what the abilities of Class B were. Up until this point we never knew, and I just wanted to know. I'm sorry that if other people apparently weren't too down with that, but I wanted to know at the very least, so I enjoyed it. But now, where we've seen the heroes start to grow and develop and start to, seek out their weaknesses and what they need to improve on, now we're seeing the villains grow and, get over their weaknesses. But for them, it's a great contrast, because with the hero side, with the Hero Academia, it's a nurturing environment. They're not hurting each other badly. There's no imminent death or anything like that. They're getting constructive criticism and growing as people for the most part. Whereas in the Villain Academia, it's just like, trial by fire. You will die if you do not adapt, overcome, survive, adapt, and grow into a monstrous villain. Come to destroy everything that you do not find that you like in the slightest, just as Himiki Toga did, just as Tomura Shigaraki did. And that really highlights Tomura's ability. Just destroy anything you don't like with one touch. He's the one-touch man, which, even if the police come after him, it's just like, show us where he touched you. Can't. It's gone. Like, some really serious shit is about to go down. Evil has never looked so good. But I've rambled on enough at this point. Tell me your thoughts in the comments section below. What do you think of Himiki Toga? What did you think of Miss Curious? Did you wish that she had lived like I did? Or are you glad that that weirdo bitch is gone? Definitely tell me your thoughts in the comments section below. And what do you think about Toga being able to now use other people's quirks? The downside seems to be that she needs to at least have seen how they work in order to improve upon them. Not to mention, and there's always the possibility she might end up with Uraraka's weaknesses as well. So definitely tell me your thoughts on that as well. And if you liked this video, feel free to leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike and tell me what I did wrong in the comment section below. And subscribe and hit the bell icon, because I'll definitely continue to bring you more chapter reviews of My Hero Academia. And if you want to find me on social media, feel free to Google Duuz-Diz-Din. I'm everywhere. And until the next video, remember that evil has never looked so cute. Bye-bye!